because we've gotten identified with the thoughts that we generate, with the emotions that we create, not understanding it's our prerogative to create the kind of thought we want, the kind of emotion we want. If you created the kind of thought you want and the kind of emotion you want, would you not do the best sort of thoughts and the best kind of emotion that a human being is capable of?
And this is… you need to experience the suffering that comes through unconscious use of the mind in order to awaken. It's only through the suffering that eventually you go, can't take anymore. As happened to me when I was in bed one night and said, I can't live with myself anymore. And then somehow I realized that this myself that I couldn't live with anymore was an illusion, an illusory entity, and very unhappy mind-created entity. But before I realized that, I had to go through this suffering for years and years. So the suffering worked.
It is a fact that we have the most evolved neurological system compared to a worm, insect, bird, animal, anybody. But we also have a psychological process. Whatever your psychological process, your thought and emotion, is only happening because of a certain amount of information that you gathered, isn't it? Oh, you think she's a wonderful person, so certain kind of thought. Oh, you think she's not nice, another kind of thought. Oh, you think this is somebody else. With all this information, whatever you have gathered, whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. The type of information you gathered determines the type of thought and type of emotion that you have, isn't it? This is one thing, if you teach human beings to understand your psychological process is entirely your drama. It's got nothing to do with reality, is it so? Your psychological drama has nothing to do with the reality here. 100 people can be sitting here and everybody in their own psychological space, and they're in 100 different worlds, they're not in this world. Psychological process is just a small drama which has gotten magnified simply because you've gotten so identified with it. It's like this. People always come up to me and say, Sadhguru, I want to meditate, but the thoughts are coming. I ask them, see, I will teach you another kind of meditation where your kidney function will stop, your liver function will stop, your heart function will stop. Are you interested? No. Then what, you want your brain function to stop? Why? Why is that? Because you are not so identified with your kidney function, but you're super identified with your thought process and emotion. Because you're so identified with it, you think it's you. Because of that, now it has obliterated your experience of life. Tell me in 24 hours' time, how many moments are there beyond thought you looked at something? For most people, there isn't a single moment. Some people have few moments. I have just a few moments of thought. Rest of the time, I'm just like the sky. Simply there, just life. If you're just… are you life? Tell me properly, are you really life? Yes, you're life, isn't it? Because I'm life, I have a body, I have a thought, I have an emotion, I have a home, I have this and so many things. All accessories. But you're experiencing the accessories. But is there experience of life on a daily basis? You're misunderstanding your psychological drama as life. Your psychological drama is your drama, maybe badly directed, but see, when it's badly directed, people suffer it. When it's well directed, they enjoy it, isn't it? Hello? Yes. So your psychological drama is yours, you can play it, nothing wrong with it. It's like we start playing a game, we are on a tennis court. But somewhere, you hit the ball, you enjoy it, you hit the ball, you enjoy it. After some time, you keep the racket down and go, isn't it? Right now with this game, you're not able to stop. Just imagine, suppose you started playing tennis and you can't stop 24 hours. How you would suffer tennis? That's all that's happening right now. Your psychological process has become unstoppable. It's simply on and on and on. So the simplest solution for this is, don't try to stop it because you're not trying to stop kidneys and livers and heart and whatever else that's happening, you're all fine with that. Only with brain function you have a problem because of the identification you have. You have misunderstood your thought to be you. Whatever your thought is, you think it's you, but your thought is coming from a certain information that you gathered from outside, isn't it? If I wipe out all the memory in you, will you have a thought? No. It is only coming from the type of information you gathered. What type of information you gather is not all by choice. If you walk in the street, everything that you see, hear, smell, taste and touch gets recorded in your mind, you can't help it. What goes into you as information is not all in your hands, isn't it so? 90% is not in your hands. Simply it's happening all the time because everything that you sense through 5 sense organs is just getting into you and recorded. There is no good, bad, ugly in this, it's just information. Now, by your recognition, you say, oh, this is nice and it becomes good. You say this is nasty and it becomes bad. You say this is horrible and then it becomes ugly. This is your doing, but information is simply pouring in and recorded. What you gather, whatever you gather, it can be yours, it cannot be you, isn't it? If sun does not come up tomorrow, in 18 hours, everything that you know as life on this planet will be gone. Except a few microbial life deep down in the earth, everything else will be gone in 18 hours' time. Just now I gave you a fantastic information. Sun came up on time today morning. I want to hear appropriate noises at least. It's fantastic, it came up on time. And planet is spinning on time. You don't think it's good? No accidents in the solar system, one planet did not clash into another, all are sticking to their lanes. In the entire universe, not a single accident, everything is going fantastic in the universe and in the larger cosmos. But one nasty little thought is crawling in your head and it's a bad day. Everything in the cosmos is going great. One nasty little thought, it's a bad day, isn't it? The problem is we have lost perspective as to who we are. In this cosmos, this solar system is a speck. Yes or no? It's like a speck. Tomorrow morning if the entire solar system evaporates, nobody will notice it. In that speck, planet Earth is a micro speck. In that micro speck, Los Angeles is a super micro speck. In that, you're a big man. That's a serious problem. This is your psychological drama, exaggerating things to a point where you think if you have one bad thought, the whole world is ruined. Because we have gotten identified with the thoughts that we generate, with the emotions that we create, not understanding it's our prerogative to create the kind of thought we want, the kind of emotion we want. If you created the kind of thought you want and the kind of emotion you want, would you not do the best sort of thoughts and the best kind of emotion that a human being is capable of? Yes or no?
Yes.
Then you would function at the peak of humanity. Right now, our own intelligence has turned against us. We don't need any external help. We're just doing fine by ourselves. Yes or no? Simply sitting, standing, rich, poor, every kind is suffering. You ask them, childhood, big problem, diaper problem. Toddler, big problem, lot of mischief. Adolescence, oh my God, too many problems. Middle age, crisis. Old age, terrible. Tell me which time of your life is fantastic. The problem is not anywhere else. The problem is just that we have lost control over our psychological drama. Because the existential drama of life is not in our experience. Our psychological drama is like a cloud blocking up the sun. We don't experience life, we only experience thoughts, emotions, ideas, prejudices and all the rubbish that we can generate. Instead of living in the Creator's creation, we are living in our own petty creation, that's the big thing.
Obstacles that your own mind creates, the conflicts and the unnecessary problems that your own mind, because you're identified with the mind, creates, you need to experience the suffering that you create for yourself out of that unconsciousness of… Unconsciousness means completely identifying with the mind, the egoic mind, which in many cases transforms challenges which could be solved easily into much bigger problems. So you have your mind-created obstacles that you ultimately create yourself because you're not conscious enough, and then you encounter suffering. This is one level of suffering. And this is… you need to experience the suffering that comes through unconscious use of the mind in order to awaken. It's only through the suffering that eventually you go, I can't take anymore. As happened to me when I was in bed one night and said, I can't live with myself anymore. And then somehow I realized that this myself that I couldn't live with anymore was an illusion, an illusory entity, a very unhappy mind-created entity. But before I realized that, I had to go through this suffering for years and years. So the suffering worked. It fulfilled its purpose. First, the suffering that arises from your own mind creates conflict and all those things that create suffering, and then at some point you awaken. And then what remains is the suffering that comes with having a body, for example, because eventually the body gets older. No matter how much you go to the gym every day, no matter how fantastic your nutrition is, no matter how many pills for longer life you take, which is all fine and good, but of course every form eventually dissolves, and a time comes when the body can be perceived as a burden almost. The older you get, the more likely it is to happen. And so, of course, you might then say old age isn't so bad if you consider the alternative, which is you die younger and then you don't have to experience the body getting fragile and old. But if you get old, the body can become problematic, a source of suffering, potentially. But those challenges, if approached correctly, don't have to turn into suffering. Accept each moment as if you had chosen it. If you can go with the isness of things, there's no complaining entity that says something about being a victim and complaining how dreadful things are now. I wish my mother had learned that lesson when she suffered in that way, because she had always identified very much with her body. Good looking, always nicely dressed, going out, and liked to be looked at, very normal thing for many people. And then the body got older and older, and then hip problems and other fractures and this, and got worse and worse, and the unhappiness grew and grew. Not so much of limited movement, but the identity. So much was in the body, that those tremendous suffering. I tried to free her, and occasionally there were moments when she could disidentify from body, but very, very brief. And that is the destiny of many humans. But the suffering is really that every life form encounters, the obstacles that every life form encounters, whether they come at a younger age, older age, middle age, in whatever form, these things are absolutely necessary, without which there would be no human evolution whatsoever, and no life form would ever evolve if the life form did not encounter obstacles. So that which looks like an obstacle is actually always potentially an opening. Potentially that which seems to stop your progress in life always potentially can make you more conscious. So you can use every obstacle that arises in your life, if you can works especially quickly, if you accept each moment as if you had chosen it, and when it looks this moment is an obstacle, you go with it instead of complaining or running away from it, and then accept, and then act if action is possible, or don't act if no action is possible.